Hey guys, I'm gonna read you my story. I present this at the Schizophrenia Society. I'm not getting paid to make this video. This is totally independent. I don't represent them when I talk to you guys and share my story. I do want you to know if you have schizophrenia, you can reach out to them for support, or if you're a family member or the Schizophrenia Society of Alberta or other provinces have them too, find a support group that helps you. They pay us to tell these stories at universities, high schools, and nonprofits. We also do education presentations. Also, check out Light Cellar if you want to learn more about herbal medicine. Um, anyways, um, as a child, we had a beautiful, loving childhood in many ways. We camped with both our parents and later enjoyed camping for years with our dad. My mom and her boyfriend took us to the cottage in the summers. I played a lot of sports and later took guitar lessons. I still play guitar and have a couple songs and lots of beautiful poems that I write and journals that I write. I've been doing that for years. My parents really, really loved us. They did the best that they could. I had a pretty good family, but the divorce uh, around grade 5 was hard. Also, my parents liked to have big parties and drink, with their friends quite frequently. After they split up, thankfully they got over the excessive alcohol consumption, I think. As a child, I was diagnosed with mental health in junior high. After joining the wrong circles of friends, they began to physically bully me until finally the police stepped in and stopped it. I developed severe depression and eating disorder and OCD. I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol. I couldn't get along with my mom and her boyfriend, and so I ran away from home. My sister thought she was in a really loving home. Nowadays, I have a better relationship with my mom and family, and even though I had some amazing friends in junior high, it wasn't enough. Eventually, I didn't want to be here anymore. The pain was too much to bear. I felt isolated and alone. I wish I could have reached out to my mom or to support, to ask for help, but I didn't. Because I didn't have a healthy outlet to channel my pain, I held it inside. I began cutting and finally reached out to the kids' help phone. I was put on antidepressants, and that actually made my suicidal tendencies worse. That's one of the symptoms of antidepressants. But if you do take them with the intention to heal and believe they're good in you. I just take antipsychotics now and herbs and stuff, but we'll get to that later. Talking about suicide, it actually helps. It doesn't make it worse. If you or your loved one are depressed, ask them if they're suicidal and respond with compassion. Or if you need help, seek 211 for resources. It's a great number. Reassure your loved ones that the world is a safe place and that you are holding space for them. There's so much more to live for, and I'm so grateful that I survived. I'm so sad that I attempted suicide twice. I'm so grateful for the team at the hospital that rehabilitated me for 6 months in the hospital. I'm grateful for my son's father that taught me music and brought me to festivals. That's what got me over being suicidal. I haven't attempted since I was a teenager. I'm 38 years old. The best news about depression is that it is curable, and some people live with it the rest of their lives, but as long as they stay strong and they don't attempt, they will survive and get through it. And we need to stay here for our families. We don't even know if we kill ourselves, if we go somewhere better. Maybe we go somewhere worse. So we do our work in this life so that we don't have to do that, and we find ways to help people and reach out for support and support those that are suicidal. And there's so much help, and I love counseling, and I love my medication, and I love my herbs and plants and supplements, and going to the health food store and learning about herbs like ashwagandha and reishi mushrooms that are fully legal non-psychedelic herbs that help with mental health. And so there is a way, and there's a suicide, I'm sorry, I don't know the number, crisis helpline in Calgary. Just Google it if you need help and support. Please don't ever give up, because there's so much hope and healing here for you, and you deserve to be healthy, happy, and serve others and get through being suicidal so you can help others with it like I do. In the summer, after I got released from the psychiatric hospital, I volunteered with people with developmental disabilities. In high school, I fell into toxic communities, started hard drugs, regretfully dropped out of high school, and ran away from home. I was missing in action, and none of my family knew where I was. My twin sister, however, thought she had the best mom in the world, and she did. And I just couldn't get along with her. It wasn't necessarily her fault. I loved my mom deeply, and she did the best she could, but I fell in with the wrong friends and was bullied, and I began to hate everybody in the whole world. Being connected to the street and house drifting at times was scary. It was a long journey to heal my wounds and find a way to come full circle and be able to get sober and get the right mental health support to be able to help other people. At times, I would end up in drug induced psychosis and was hospitalized twice for it. I went from a cocaine addiction and crack addiction to ecstasy addiction to methamphetamine addiction, and then later to alcohol and psychedelic addiction, and then got sober. And since then, I've tried psychedelics twice and realized that as a person with schizophrenia, I shouldn't be doing psychedelics. Um, I'm not allowed to talk in this speech about glamorizing psychedelics. For some people, they're helpful, but it can lead to schizophrenia and psychosis in some people. Microdoses are safer. Doing them in sacred settings with a counselor where it's legal and like they're guiding you through PTSD healing is a whole other story than taking drugs at a festival and having a really bad trip and traumatic experience. So drugs can be used in a sacred way. I'm not allowed to say all this stuff at work, but it's true, they are part of our awakening, and you need to know if they're helping you or hurting you. And for me, they were harmful, and so I needed to stop. And when my schizophrenia started, every time I smoked weed, I would go into psychosis, and I never experienced that with weed because it was a very beautiful medicine for me for a long time. And sometimes with psychedelics and mushrooms and acid, I would go into complete psychosis, and I'd start hissing like a snake, thinking I was a snake, or taking my clothes off in public at a festival. No, I never did that. I did that at a house party when I was high on meth. And, just being completely out of it. And so I had to learn that those weren't for me at that time, but they did help me get over being suicidal too. So, it's all a matter of perspective. Taking drugs before you're 25 can make you increase risk of suicide. Your brain's still developing, even marijuana, and so it's recommended to wait to try marijuana and psychedelics till after you're 25. But if you do try them, I would recommend telling your parents that you're doing this and, talking to them and getting support if you do have a bad trip. And sometimes antipsychotics can help bring people down to earth who are taking medicines. Like the Foothills Hospital does actually I think it's an early psychosis unit or something, and they do treat people that don't have schizophrenia. They have drug-induced psychosis, and the reason their psychosis continues is they continue to use drugs, and then they're fine when they're sober. So even those people can use antipsychotics. So I don't want to glamorize drugs. I don't want to tell you to use them. This is for educational purposes. I'm not giving anybody advice. I'm not holding anybody responsible to what I said. I'm saying be very careful and responsible, and doing things at a festival is different than doing it in a safe setting. And overusing them can be not good too, and like taking too high a dose, like, oh, they're not kicking in, I'll just take more, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no, what do I do? You watch the Woodstock videos and they're like, don't take the brown acid, because sometimes there is some bad products out there too. And so as the world wakes up, plant medicines helps us with the waking up process, but it can also be dangerous. Like, I stay away from communities typically that are actively doing ceremonies with medicine, as I did mushrooms last summer, and I realized, like, whoa, I almost relapsed, and some bad things happened in my life after. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to ceremonies that have those, unless it's a very, very controlled, therapeutic, safe setting and it's the microdoses and they're not giving them to me. Then maybe I would, but I'm not sure about that yet too. And so just be aware. Terry Willard used to say when weed was illegal that, like, half of his clients that were on it he wanted to take off, half that weren't he wanted to put on. So basically, some people respond very well to marijuana and some people don't. And knowing which person you are waiting till you're 25 to find out. And using, if you are going to use it, using a bong to filter it for your lungs, or using it like as a medicine through Harvest Medical Clinic, where you get a license to use it therapeutically. Not that you need a license anymore. So they do teach people to use it medicinally for seizures and other things. So they're a great resource to do research on it, and get educated. It's a beautiful plant. It is, but it can be harmful or helpful. So, um, so in the summer, I got released from the psych ward. So I committed suicide, attempted suicide, was in the psych ward for 6 months. I finished school in the psych ward. I had friends there. They took great care of us, beautiful people. I actually started volunteering after I got out, which was the beginning of me realizing that through serving others, I can heal myself and help others. And it wasn't enough to fix my life, because my life did end up taking a turn for the worse. Um, in high school, I fell into toxic communities. I started hard drugs. I regretfully dropped out of school, ran away from home, and went missing in action. Being connected with the street was scary. It took me a long journey to heal my wounds and learn to come full circle and be able to get sober and get the right mental health support. Then to be able to finally step into the role of helping others as I do now. At times, I would end up in drug-induced psychosis and was hospitalized. As a teenager, I really thought the world was a dark and scary place. Instead of focusing on school, which I thought was boring because I didn't know how to enjoy it, take care of myself properly, or do homework, I tried to do the opposite. I sought out pleasure and escape in all the wrong places. If school's boring and hard, just stick with it. It's amazing. I'm just gonna take a side note here. This is some notes that I kind of add into my story sometimes. I used affirmations from the Louise Hay book to heal my extremely difficult breathing issues. And the affirmation for breathing is, I love my life, it's safe to live, it's my birthright to live freely. I still do that when my breathing gets bad. The book's got all kinds of cool affirmations in it. For all kinds of illness is super powerful stuff, because what we think about, we believe, we project, and we manifest. So if I'm breathing and I can't breathe, my mind is saying the world's not safe, I hate my life, and I love my life, it's safe to live, my birthright, like to live freely, but I think that it's my karma that I can't breathe or something. And then I start telling myself, and it heals my lungs. And I tell this when I take my herbal medicine from the health food store or food. I say this medicine is blessing my lungs and my brain and my stomach and all my organs, and I'm safe and I'm healing. And before I couldn't even take herbs because they would make me short of breath. And now I tell myself that this is a medicine, and I take herbs that help my breathing too, like chaga mushrooms and stuff. Non-psychedelic stuff from the health food store has been really healing. So herbs and supplements have a big part of my healing journey. I believe in giving back and living in balance with the earth. So basically, if I go calculate my carbon footprint based on my lifestyle and answer all the questions, just Google carbon footprint calculator. It tells me how much money I need to donate to plant trees so that I live a neutral life. I'm not cutting down more trees than I'm planting. So I give $10 a month to Tree Canada, as well as to COST, that is a Calgary-based clean water and sanitation service around the world, as well as 10 to some months I can't afford it, but some I do. Marine Conservation Institute, that protects the ocean, so they'll block off parts of the ocean so marine populations can replenish and make the fishermen go somewhere else at the time being. And then there's also, buying stuff at the thrift stores. I do buy new stuff sometimes, but I'm not a shopaholic where I'm always buying new things I don't need. I lost some weight and I wanted to buy some new clothes because I have a boyfriend and a new job. And so I'm not an excessive shopper or anything. I did buy too many pants, when I ordered it online. But anyways, that was a mistake, but they were on sale. I'm just like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I try to be conscious of what I buy and just buy things that'll add value. And then when I have stuff I don't need, I give it to the thrift store. I eat organic, natural, and local as often as I can. I'm also a vegetarian, but you do you. We go to Self-Realization Fellowship. They do Bible commentary by Yogananda, but he has a very beautiful spiritual belief in respecting all saints of all religions and respecting all religion paths that walk in love, and that God lives within us and Christ consciousness comes back in our consciousness. I don't always talk about all this stuff in my speeches, but I am today. yeah, he combined the spirituality of India with the work ethic of North America and a life of service and helping others. I write spiritual poetry and perform it with my partner at his sound bath. With his music, I have a YouTube channel, as you guys know. For mental health, I practice yoga and clean the studios. I have songs of my own. I practice cognitive behavioral therapy and read a lot. I practice The Secret and vision boards. So I put everything I want on my wall, newspaper cutouts and words, and I look at it, and it's what I want to manifest, because what we put out there comes back. And I have a list. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and I list everything I want as if I already have it, and it works. I visualize things and they come true often. For example, winning 3 grand prizes in a row and manifesting soccer balls, free coffees, a wedding dress. Not getting married yet, but found my dream partner because of the manifesting and love and raising my frequency through singing and joy and service and all that. Practicing gratitude and giving thanks a lot, and meditation and prayer. Yeah, so coming back to my story, that's a fast forward to let you know the story goes somewhere beautiful. I had the courage and tenacity in high school, but not in the right way. I needed to learn to value having purpose, taking care of myself, and finding friends and community that nurture health and inner peace. As a teenager, I met my soon-to-be son's father. When he met me, we were both smoking meth, which is a very dangerous drug. Not something you ever want to try. He introduced me to great music and helped me learn hand drums, singing, and guitar. After being in the hospital with drug-induced psychosis, I went to Aventa Rehab for Women and never did hard drugs again. Thank you, Aventa. My son's father unfortunately committed suicide a few years ago. He never won the battle with the drugs. Bless his heart, and I pray for his soul to get another chance to get things right. I love you, Brian. For 6 months, we hitchhiked to music festivals. He saved my life and later became physically abusive. This healed my severe depression for a while. He helped a lot of people because he was the biggest hippie and would travel and go to festivals and hitchhike and dance and drum and play guitar and sing and make hemp jewelry and wear the craziest, beautiful, hippiest clothes I've ever seen. And he was amazing. He had a dark side, but he was such a beautiful soul that just couldn't get over the drugs. And everywhere he went, he inspired people with his story. That summer changed my life. People, I'm going to tell you this story too. I'm going to read it to you, but in a different video. That's what got me off of hard drugs and being suicidal. And then we had a kid after, which was another huge blessing. And so, yeah, it's incredible how he saved my life and changed my life, even though there was a lot of darkness in our relationship, and I wouldn't do it again. Have a kid and stay in an abusive relationship. But I love him for all the people that he helped. People would be suicidal, addicted to drugs. They'd meet him and then change because he made them see that there's a lot of love and light in the world. And maybe he had to do drugs just to go into those people's lives to reach out to people like me. I trust he's in a better place. But I don't know. We bussed and made beautiful hemp jewelry. It was so much fun, except when he was angry. We came back to Calgary, moved in with my dad under the condition that we both get work. We did. And we actually moved into our own place. And for a whole year, I either worked or I went back to school and got paid for being in school and high school upgrading. For the first time in my life, I was able to support myself through a good job, aside from when I was like a live-in nanny or worked at Tim Hortons. I was happy that I was pregnant. I was so happy. I except that my partner, had become physically abusive to me after the baby was born. Don't have a kid with someone that's on drugs and abusive. And if you do, find help, please. After a year, I finally went to a women's shelter and told people I was being abused. One day I went back to the park. We'll call the guy Jim. We'll say Jim was his name, the father. So I went back to the park with my son after staying at the abused women's shelter to find his dad, to get back together with him because my mind was really sick. Instead, I met a guy that said he was a shaman. He convinced me to do a psychedelic drug and said it would help me, but I went into psychosis even though he promised that I wouldn't. I did it to be healed, not to get high. He promised it would heal me and help me leave his father, which was true. He promised I wouldn't go into psychosis and it wouldn't be passed through my breast milk. These were lies. They assessed me in the hospital after my son was taken away from drug-induced psychosis. I then lost my government funding since my son was not living with me. I lost my home and became homeless. I met a new boyfriend who was super sweet and loving towards me. He was so much more loving than my son's father. But he didn't want to get a real job. He wanted to sell marijuana. I said, I need to move back in with my mom and let you go because I need to be responsible and get my son back. I love my son. He's 19, I think. He's doing really well. I'm going to visit him soon. And he was raised by my grandma's sister's daughter and her husband and sisters, and so beautiful, and his sisters from them. I began working. I went to rehab to get off marijuana and psychedelics. I tried to get my son back for a whole year until my grandma's sister, daughter, and husband graciously adopted him. Because I developed schizophrenia and was in the hospital for 6 months, I could have kept fighting the court to get him back, but when they offered to adopt him, I said yes with an open heart and gratitude. After he got adopted and my friend was sending me some Reiki healing, I actually got better. I got out of the hospital and had an amazing life for the next 4 years, the best life I could have ever imagined. For me and for him, even though I didn't see him, I got to hear he was doing well. Also, a factor that I didn't know how to cook until I finally ate pre-made vegan food with like Amy's food, which saved my life. I was trying to raise my son vegan, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to cook properly. We were very malnourished, and I'm so sorry to do that to him. Now I know about the pre-made food, and it's beautiful, and I eat really healthy, and I make my own vegan wraps and eat plant-based mostly at home. Eat a little bit of cheese at home sometimes, and eat eggs and dairy when I'm out. But I do believe in that we should just be eating animals that are ethically raised, like from Lush Lane and Amaranth and Light Cellar and Community Foods. If we are going to eat animals, if we can afford it. If we can't afford it, that's okay, but you guys do you. Find out what works for you. Thankfully, my mom took me in and we started getting along, mostly. She became my best friend and biggest support ever since. I was paranoid, and though everyone knew me, I thought everyone knew me when my schizophrenia started. I thought that I was the devil or God. I even had thoughts that I wanted to hurt people. Of course, I would never act on them. I had no desires to hurt people, and I hated the thoughts. Finally, I told someone, I said, I need to go to the hospital. I'm having these thoughts. I don't know why I'm having them. And they said, you shouldn't go to the hospital. You won't get your son back. I should have, and I shouldn't have lied on the tests about my mental health. And so I ended up going to the hospital eventually because I couldn't talk. I couldn't eat. I was emancipated. I was severely ill. My mom convinced me to go in the car and took me in finally after having schizophrenia for maybe 6 months or so. I told no one at first. I was trying to impress child services, but they knew something was wrong because whenever I had visits with my son, I couldn't talk to him properly. I couldn't do any activities that they were asking me to do with him, like read books or give him a massage or sing to him. And I kind of just sat there and held him and didn't really know how to engage properly because my schizophrenia was starting, but I didn't even know I had schizophrenia or what it was. I signed up for college at that time as well to become a holistic therapist. I started taking healing classes in angel awareness, psychic intuition, Reiki, and that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. It was the beginning of a lifelong journey. The school later on went on to teach me herbal medicine and nutrition. I started to become obsessed with the idea of, well, more after I got out of the hospital, but of like nutrition and eating. Even after I got out of the hospital, I didn't know how to eat. Oh my God, I was eating just vegetables. It wasn't very good, but needed more chickpeas and nuts and seeds and stuff, and essential fatty acids through hemp and chia and almond butter and trail mix and wraps with hummus and chickpeas and tofu and stuff. So almond milk and all that, and herbal medicine too. But at the college, I began to connect with like-minded people and later learned a lot about holistic health. At the time, I went to rehab at ADAC to get off weed and psychedelics, which saved my life again. Thank you, ADAC. I think they have a different name these days. Rehab is amazing. I recommend it to everybody that has an addiction. I still have an addiction to my phone and food, but I'm working through it. I graduated college in 2019 as a practical herbalist. I went on to study permaculture, which is holistic gardening techniques. I'm back in herbal college again now. I have the most amazing friends and supports. Though having schizophrenia led me to not be able to talk or speak and barely eat for a while, I always kept fighting for my sanity over the years, even when I relapsed in mental health and the meds helped. I got out of the hospital, got on AISH, so that's a free paycheck the rest of my life until I move in with my partner who has a higher income or I earn more. I did amazing for 4 years. I became a yoga teacher, drum circle facilitator, organic gardener, and a herbalist. I loved my life. I started going to holistic retreats, and yeah, I loved it. Healed me a lot. Going to retreats and the ayahuasca ceremonies as a sober person was very healing for me. It was 2012 when I finally came off meds, did the ayahuasca, moved out on my own and quit counseling, and that combination made me relapse and end up back in the hospital. My son was about to turn 5 and I was about to see him again because I was doing so well, and then that relapse happened. I ended up in the hospital and it took me years to figure out how to live again peacefully, and it took me up until a year ago actually. There was times in between that I was doing well for a few years actually, so it took me about 3 years to do well after my relapse, and that's when I learned not to do psychedelics and yeah, again, right? And to stay on my medication. Even when I lowered it, I actually relapsed again, and I might lower it again and come off them following the Inner Compass initiative. Booked a psychiatrist appointment with a doctor to do that, but I do it extremely slowly over 4 years and prepare properly with a self-care plan and following the protocol of Inner Compass initiative. And it's a titration of 5 to 10% of my dose at a time once a month. So if I'm on, let's say it was on 100, but I'm on 200, so I can't do the math exactly, but it would take me 2 years on 100 milligrams. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take me on it for, probably 4 years, but you reduce by 5 to 10% of your dose, and then so that dose is ideally 5% lower, and then from that dose 5% of that, and then so on. It's the only way to succeed. If you wean off really fast, you're probably going to relapse and end up in the hospital. You're at risk of being suicidal. You could even become violent. You could, you never know what could happen if you don't do it properly or with the proper people, especially. I learned that lesson. I came off in like 1 month and couldn't cope, and like it ruined my life for years. So be very careful. I've only met one person that's been able to come off antipsychotic and succeed, and she pointed me to the Inner Compass initiative. So I didn't sorry, I'm just trying to think what time we're leaving for Kirtan tonight. I still have time. So during my relapse, my family was my biggest support. My mom and Oma would come visit me in the hospital every day. Or quite often. I was there like for 3 months, and then the next winter 2 months, the winter after that 1 month, and then not since. And so I struggled for years, and then I finally found Carnet Center. That was a huge support. It was a day hospital for people with schizophrenia, and so I started going to all their groups and found a whole bunch of people with schizophrenia there, and all of a sudden I loved my life, and it was so much fun for a year. And then I actually had an opening at Onward Homes for Alice Bassett building, and I ended up relapsing very hard because I went to visit it and I was doing so well in my home. I thought, why do I need to move? They wanted me to move because in the hospitals I was in and out, and they thought I needed more support. And I went to visit this place, and it had a view of a factory, no nature, it was super small. The bus route sucked, and yeah, I was just ended up in hospital because I was so worried about moving there. I was like, I'm going to give up everything, my beautiful home, my home close to my mom, my home close to nature, the park, the river, all of it. And I didn't want to move there, and I'm glad I didn't, and I'm glad I ended up in the hospital. And by the time I decided to move there, they are like, sorry that you said no. and thank God. But then I did end up moving into Onward Homes like a year later, even though I don't think I needed to anymore, because at that point I found Potential Place, and they helped me so much, and I found a community, and we did social recreation, and they helped me volunteer and get an amazing job at Community Natural Foods as a bulk food repacker for 9 months. And yeah, so I don't think I would have relapsed if I didn't move here, so I probably could have stayed there. But maybe I would have, who knows. Maybe my temp job would have ended and it got worse. But I moved here, developed severe breathing problems because of the pollution next door from all of the cars, and then the bus route downtown with all the cars. And every time I breathed, it was like, I still get this, but not the tardive dyskinesia and dystonia, which was my throat would involuntarily close in. I wouldn't die from it, but it was like every time I breathe in. I don't even like thinking about it. Oh, makes me short of breath. So that was extremely bad. That's a side effect of the meds. And I don't know what else it was, a spiritual thing, until I finally months later started, doing affirmations from Louise. I did another appointment on the phone with the shaman that gave me the ayahuasca, and I never went back to retreat, but I did do that consultation one time, and that saved my life again, because she said read Louise Hay book. So I got it and started doing the affirmation, love your life, heal your life. No, I love my life, it's safe to live, it's my birthright to live freely. And so I did that religiously all day, every day, and the breathing problems got better. And yeah, it was beautiful. And for years I've been short of breath and not been able to take herbs. I went to get an IUD put in, and the doctor was Terry Willard, my teacher. I said to him one day, can I take birth control on herbal medicine and my medication? And he said, yes, I'm supportive of that, but it is like dancing through life versus marching through life. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And I was with a partner, and he was kind of emotionally abusive and abusive in other ways. And then I wanted to be on an IUD, and on the way to get the IUD put in, I saw a graffiti that said, God loves dancers. And I thought, maybe God wants me to not be on the IUD hormones. You can get an IUD copper one, which is non-hormones, but I can't take that because I have a heavy period, way too heavy, and that could make it worse. So I go there, my body wouldn't let the IUD get put in, and that was really cool. My body was like, no, you don't want to be on hormones. I'm not anti-IUD. I believe people should do what works for them. I took the injection as a teenager, and it probably stopped me from getting pregnant until I was 19, and then came off, any kind of contraceptive. But so if you believe in it, do it. But it's way overused, where people take the pill for all kinds of issues like acne and hormone issues, when there's a lot of safer ways to treat that I'm not going to get into today. And so the IUD wouldn't put in. But at the time, every time I took herbs, I didn't know it was causing this, but I started to get another really bad side effect where I was going all day, and it only happened when we were listening to sermons or meditating. I guess I was stressed, and so they said, cut out all your herbs and supplements for 2 weeks, and you can go to the hospital and get the IUD put in under conscious sedation. The sedation could interact with herbs and stuff, so I stopped it for 2 weeks, and the throat clearing tick went away, and I realized I was allergic to herbs and supplements. And later the throat clearing took away, but it would make me really short of breath, so I couldn't even take them barely. And I started dating Trevor and doing a lot of healing work, and this is kind of later on in my story I'll get to. But yeah, the healing work was really beautiful, and I started doing harmonic egg and healing sessions with holistic energy healer, and the harmonic egg lady said, do the affirmations again. And I started doing them, and she said, bless your herbs, bless your food, talk to them, say this is good for my mind, my breathing. And I started doing all that and saying, convincing myself it was healing, and then I could take herbs again for the first time, which is amazing. So I'm taking, for mental health now, Dr. Hoffer's protocol with niacin and vitamin C, as well as ashwagandha and supplements, as well as the greens powder from Light Cellar, and hemp seeds and chia seeds most days. And so it's taken away my extreme, my chronic anxiety I was having every day, and I breathe a lot better, and it's helping my mental health. And I'm cooking for myself for the first time, uncooking while I make wraps. chickpeas and hummus, and instead of eating just pre-made food and keeping my kitchen more. So it's beautiful. I met Trevor a year ago after being in an abusive relationship for 7 years. After I finally joined peer support school and then started working at the SSA as a peer support worker, helping other people with their schizophrenia and telling these presentations at schools and nonprofits, and getting a dog who's the best lab dog in the whole world. And so all that stuff and doing my inner work actually kept me safe and let me leave the 7-year abusive relationships. I started going back to drum circles and concerts and festivals, although I don't do a lot of festivals that are camp out anymore, but other ones. And that's where I met my partner, and he's a sound healer, and I made a vision board. I put on the back of it everything I wanted in a partner and who I wanted to be for him. And yeah, it helps me find him, and I love my life. It's so beautiful. It's so challenging. I still see weird moments sometimes, like what this is about. I need to align. I need to do my work. I need to live in peace. I need to stop doing 100 things a day and just read and do one thing a day, like make my YouTube videos today or whatever, and then do my other work and take time off to read and be like, I don't have to be go and post a million posts and go on Facebook all day. That's BS. And so I love my life with Trevor. He's the most loving, supportive partner. He brings me to his music events. I'm doing my spiritual poetry with him and performing it. And I write poems about what it means to be human and seeing people and life through the lens of how do I help, what are my gifts, and that the world is a safe and loving place and we can heal and we can create heaven on earth. And yeah, I do yoga. I clean the yoga studio every Monday for free lessons up at Yoga Passage. I work as an aide for a blind lady. We go to drum circle, we go work out together. It's really beautiful, and I'm looking for more work as a herbalist or a peer support worker so I can become financially, get off age and become more financially independent. I'm going to publish this book and hopefully reach a lot of people. And so let me continue my story. So I relapsed and then ended up getting better. I do still not really know what's happening on this planet, but I believe as long as we keep our intentions good and try to find ways to help others, that's why we're here and what we came for. I'm often setting my intentions and doing my spiritual practices such as breathing, yoga, singing, meditation, and taking my medication and herbs and nutrition. I also clean at the yoga studio. I believe we are here to try to create the most beautiful life we can and learn to live in balance and have everything we need. Then we find out what we came for. I have a strong sense of what's ethical for me, but you do you. I'm vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 9 months and then on and off for years. I also buy mostly organic and natural products to help the earth and my health. I have anxiety, but I graduated peer support school and I'm a peer support worker. I love being a client, not really a client at SSA anymore, just a staff, but at the time I was. And yeah, I give peer support to people and I love it. I act in our play in the lead role often, which is a love story about schizophrenia. My peer support workers that I worked with for a long time to become a peer support worker were amazing. I have the best dog in the world named Luna. I visit my mom a lot. She's amazing. We have a great relationship. Me and my sister get along really well. We love each other, and I love my brother and my nieces and nephews. I have a beautiful role in this beautiful story. I overcame some pretty bad med side effects through affirmations. I've healed myself through so many different illnesses through herb supplements, nutrition, medications when needed, and holistic lifestyle. I have a vast knowledge in the area of plant medicine and nutrition. I've studied over 500 hours and done 300 practicum hours at Wild Rose College and graduated as a practical herbalist, or as I like to call it, my PhD. I love teaching others what I've learned. I'm developing my singing. I love singing. I write my own songs. I play guitar and drum. I go to drum circles. I go to music events. All our friends get together and sing. It's beautiful. That helped me through my mental health, OCD, addictions to my phone, and I'm grateful that I got out of the street years ago. I do epic poetry and storytelling, and I practice a lot of freaking self-care, like cognitive behavioral therapy, meditation, journaling, nature walks, drumming, music, and so on. as well as spiritual podcasts such as the Soul Awakenings podcast on Spotify and the Next Level Soul with Trevor. As I wrap up this speech, I want you to know that whatever you or your loved ones are going through or may go through, that you do not have to suffer in silence or be alone. There's many great people and resources. If you don't have a friend, go to make a friend or find a community or get yourself a hobby or get out there and meet people. That's what saved my life the most. Even when I had schizophrenia, I didn't have any friends. I had one friend, which was amazing. He was incredible. Shane, thank you. And still my friend. And I needed the shaman to tell me that you need to go and make friends intentionally. And I'm doing that again lately too. But I need to go to school and say, hey, do you want to be my friend? And I made a friend with Taylin, and she's so beautiful. She helped me so much, and she needed a friend too. So thank you. And, Patrick and Megan, you guys saved my life too. I'm so grateful for all my friends, and I have amazing friends. I have a best friend that calls me every day, and I'm so, so grateful to be a friend and to have friends. So please don't ever get up. Always try to find ways to help yourself, to use your gifts, find out what your gifts are. Whether it's teaching, this is a quote from Jesus, whether it's teaching, healing, or encouraging, or being generous, use your gifts. We are each unique, and we all give gifts and develop and share. I think that Jesus was one of the ascended beings on the planet that really came here to tell us how to love. And I don't know if he's God, I think he is, but I think we're a part of God, and every enlightened being that's ever been on the planet is a part of God, and anybody that's not enlightened might be a part of the enemy, but I don't think so. I think we're all a part of light, and we're all a part of darkness, and we need to find to just be the light, but we need to embrace our shadow side and acknowledge it, and it's okay that it's there, and it's there to teach us too, and it's to overcome. No one would ever watch a movie, right, if there was no conflict, or there was no antagonist, or there was no obstacle. It's always like, oh, this is the problem, these are the people that we're going to team up, they're the protagonists, there's going to be a climax where you reach the absolute low and you don't know if you're going to make it, and then you rise and you defeat evil and you become an angel and you become a healer and you become a teacher, or whatever you are. You become love. You learn to overcome obstacles. If there wasn't suffering in the world, we wouldn't know what love is. We wouldn't be able to be a doctor or a herbalist and heal people, or healer, because there wouldn't be any suffering. Maybe in the next life there won't. Maybe we'll be angels and we can come back to earth to help people. I have no idea what's going to happen. The blind leads the blind. But, we're here. Angels are made on earth. Yogananda and Trevor tells me all the time. The earth is a great, grand cosmic play. It's meant to be enjoyed and entertained. And so we're here to give and learn balance, take care of ourselves, and we lose people that we love. We go through hardships, we go through trials, we go through hell, we go through whatever it is we go through, so that we can learn and grow. And that's the only way that we can learn and grow. And maybe we'll create a world for the kids so they don't have to go through that. And it's time to take care of the environment. Check out Tree Canada, check out COST or Children Believe or Marine Conservation Institute, or whatever it is. We're here to give back. If we have extra money, and we have our needs met, and then it actually helps to give back, and it will actually lead to more abundance in our life. I'm not saying give from a place of scarcity where you're not poor because you're helping others, and I've done that too, but just find ways to give back and live in balance and solve problems in the world, because there is starving kids in Africa, and there is an environmental crisis, and we need to take this seriously, and we need to help if we can. And not everybody can. I'm not saying don't feed your kids and go feed African kids. No, do what you can, and maybe it's volunteering, or maybe it's getting a job to help people, or maybe it's going back to school, or maybe it's just saying hi to your neighbor or having them over, or whatever it is, find your way to help, because you're here to help, and we can all help, no matter where we are, whether we're addicted to meth or being strangled by our boyfriend, or we are strangling our girlfriend, or whatever we're going through. There's hope. I met a neighbor that was a criminal. He went to jail. I don't even know what he went for. I didn't ask, a murderer or something. And he fell into a coma, and he came back to life. And ever since, he was healed completely. Healing happens all the time. I just saw a beautiful blue orb. I see orbs and auras and vortexes and all kinds of spiritual things. There's spirits around us. There's angels around us. The earth is alive. We are waking up. This is a time of ascension where we create the new earth and the earth we want. And we pull our money out of systems that are corrupt and we put it into systems that are beautiful. And we create a beautiful balanced planet where we celebrate through music or art or creativity. We're all creative. We're all beautiful. We all give. We all take care of ourselves. And we love each other and we learn to have a relationship. Me and my partner have never had a single argument in the last 8 months. We've never been mean to each other. I came out of 7-year abusive relationships a year ago. Like, everything is possible. All of our heart and our dreams. And I want to tell you guys a beautiful story. So before we get to that, learn to be self-disciplined, practice compassion, live with purpose. Seek help when needed. It can get better. We can be the change in the world we want to see. We are the ones we were waiting for. Community is essential. Being creative is essential. Being in nature is essential. May we be honest, brave, patient, and persevere. May we choose love and believe in each other and lift each other up. May we build our life on a solid foundation. May we ask God for help and live humbly. I thank you for listening to my speech with an open mind and compassion. And this speech is different than the one I give at work, but I can talk about religious stuff a little more. But I'm not religious at all. I'm spiritual. I believe in a loving God that lives through us, that is in all living things, that is just a divine energy that we connect with, that, that created us, or that is us, or we created, or I don't know, and I can't explain it. It's a feeling. One day I said, God, if you're real, give me a sign. I need you to give me a sign. And I took my dog for a walk, and I saw a deer walking through my neighborhood for the first time ever. I'd seen them across the highway, across the fence. I'd never seen one walking around. I was just like, whoa, God's real. But it's not always who we think it is. It's he and she, or he or she, or us, or Jesus is part of it as an ascendant being with other ascendant beings and angels. There's a whole network of beautiful people and like ancestors, and I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know. And you do you. Believe what you want to believe. Thank you for listening with an open mind and compassion. Reach out to me if you want to talk. My email is Jessica, JESSI.Wilson, WILS.PPS, Peter Sam, @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm grateful for SSA that allowed me to write these speeches and present them places. We all have a story to tell. May we be brave enough to tell it. And as we tell our stories, whether it's individually or collectively, we begin to heal and see the world in a different way. And everything we go through is for our highest evolution. Everything, our pain, our suffering, death of loved ones, everything, you may not believe it, but the world happens for us, not to us. But we do need to take it seriously and stand up for the earth and protect the earth, because we need to make sure that it's here for future generations. So there is an ancient Hawaiian practice called Ho'oponopono. It means, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. There was a psychologist named Dr. Len, a therapist and a psych ward for the criminally and mentally ill patients in Hawaii. I sat by him and went inwards with this mantra that I just said, with loving intent to heal himself and his patients. This was a psych ward for the criminally insane, so nobody wanted to be there. It was super unsafe. People hated working there. People hated being inmates there. And this loving person just came, never saw a single patient, and would sit in the room, and he'd say it to himself and reflect it over to the people that were there and read their files. And the shaman told me about this, actually, when I did a reading with her, Amrak, beautiful Amrak. If you're watching this, thank you. I love you. And she helped me do some spiritual oracle readings for me, and helped me leave my abusive relationship, and helped me. I didn't even believe this story when I heard it, and I researched it years later when I was working at SSA and wanted to put it in my speech, and I realized it was true. After a lot of people are saying this, so that you can say this to yourself and your loved ones. It doesn't mean you have to stay with people that abuse you. That's not what forgiveness is about. Forgiveness is about allowing the story to be there without attaching any anger, resentment, or hate towards the person. Hating and holding resentments is like somebody living rent free in your brain. You got to let it go. And so you can say this to yourself and to Trump or like Putin or whatever, and you just wish what's best for everybody. Why did we celebrate when Saddam Hussein, I think it was killed? It's like we wanted him to say, I'm sorry, I repent, and I'm going to live in peace. But then he died and people celebrated. So why would we celebrate someone else's pain and the fallen angels? No, we want everybody to succeed. Because I've been a criminal. I used to steal DVDs. I used to steal food. I used to steal stuff from people's houses, cars, write things on cop cars, punched a girl for no reason, which was my own karma. Then I ended up getting punched, and just all this stuff I needed to go through, and then I learned to forgive myself. So it's a true story. All of the patients healed over time, and eventually the psych ward closed down because nobody was left. It's a true story. There's books on it. So Dr. Len teaches us that when we heal ourselves and we love and forgive and we give thanks for all people and all experiences, see the lessons in it, and wish everybody well and pray for our enemies, that we actually heal ourselves and it ripples out to those around us. It is our responsibility to heal ourselves so we can help others. And what happens around us is a reflection of what's within us. If you want to end global warming and the fires and the wars, first we must create peace and live in peace with the earth and our community and our own lives and our own family and our own friends. Then the world will heal, because that's how the world works. It's a reflection of what is going on inside of us. It's the way we feed our bodies as temples, and as we purify and cleanse our bodies and eat really healthy whole foods, then we begin to see the world around us shift, and people around us, oh, you join a gym, I want to join a gym. You do yoga, maybe I'll try Tai Chi or something, and it ripples out into our families and friends and everyone we meet. And it's our responsibility to take care of our health and exercise and eat well and join a gym or whatever in order to be pain-free so we can live in peace, love, and joy, and then others around us will do the same. And so self-care is not selfish. It's the greatest act of service of all. We must find ways to help others. It's easier to blame others for what's going on. It's easy to blame our parents, but you know what? They're just the way because of their parents, and so on, and because of the world, and so on. So there really is no blame. And we could look on someone homeless on the street and say, how dare you ask me for change and spit on my shoes, and get mad at them for being who they are, when that could be us if we had their life, and it would be. And so how dare us look and judge others when they are us and we are them. We are all one. And so we wish what's best for others. We never judge or look down on anybody. We never are better than anybody. We're not more enlightened. We're just on a different stage of the journey. And it can change any moment. We could always go back to the drugs. We could always lose someone. You never know what's going to happen. Nothing is guaranteed. So we must work towards a better future. And we can't think our way into a better future. We have to love our way and act our way into it. Yes, we can change our thoughts through affirmations and CBT, and yes, we need to do those things too, and meditation and stuff. But what I'm saying is we can make one small behavior change that will change our whole destiny. So Dr. Len and Dr. Joe Vitale wrote a book called Zero Limits, published in 2008, about this Ho'oponopono story. There's a lot of ways to healing. I'm not saying you have to do one thing or another. You don't. You find what works for you. You use your own intuition. No one else can tell you. You need to really go within yourself and ask yourself, why am I here? How do I heal? How do I help? And so may we all be healers and restorers and teach by example with hope, optimism, and compassion. Thank you for being here and for doing your part. You are gifted, you are capable, and you are blessed. And by the way, my son, he's 19. He graduated high school, became a plumber. He's doing really good from what I hear, and I'm going to see him soon. And so I encourage you, if you have children, to remember it is your responsibility to do everything that you can to take care of yourself and help others so that you can help your kids and be an example to them. And whatever, your relationship is with them, you just pray that whatever happens is for the highest good. I didn't even pray all that year that he was taken away to get him back. I prayed for the highest good to happen for him. And I didn't know if that was with me or with somebody else. And it was obviously with somebody else. And I'm sorry, but I thank you. I love you. Forgive me. I'm sorry. It all worked out anyways. I hope in the end. And if it's everything will be well in the end. If it's not well, it's not the end. So keep going. Be strong. Be your light. Ask for help. Ask the divine for help if you want. Just say, hey, this is what I want. Can you help me? What do I need to do? And sit and listen until you find the answer. Or maybe it's another spiritual practice, or you meditate, or it's yoga, or journaling, or singing, or nature, or hockey, or getting a pet, or writing, or podcasts, or spiritual documentaries, or art, or whatever. There's a million, billion paths to find peace and heaven on earth. So find yours. Love you.